Good afternoon, students. So, the continuation part of the short story by P. Lankesh, The Gardener. So, in the previous class, we have seen how the competition between Tamanna and Basavaya began, and then so from what level of competition that has been taken place between these two people, Tamanna and Basavaya. So those things we have discussed. So it began at the beginning as a healthy competition between these two, and then as it moves further, after Basavaya forcefully occupied the 200 acres of land which belongs to Tamanna, then he has decided or thought about a new idea to punish Basavaya, that he goes to an idea where he can completely destroy Basavaya. So he comes up with a new idea of composing ballads. Composing ballads and singing them to the people. So the themes includes the ballads of his Tamanna includes his own experiences, the meanness of Basavaya, the cruel and bad selfish attitude of Basavaya were the themes that he included in his ballads and started singing them as such. So this is a new challenge that was a new idea, a new way of giving a tough fight for Basavaya here from Tamanna here. And then, so in this way, the competition that has started as a healthy one in the beginning of this story, so now it moves away from the things that were visible. So towards an invisible abstract domain here. So this is the situation. So where we have stopped here, and in the next part of the lesson we'll see what are the things that he is going to include or uses as a strategy to destroy Basavaya here, and in what way the competition between these two further continues. Let us see here. Page number 62, the first paragraph of the lesson here on page number 62. Basavaya had no answer to this. He also tried to sing but could not. Yes. So here he never have any idea of composing ballads and singing them here. Who? Basavaya. So he also tried. He never kept quiet there. And he also tried to sing but could not. He performed his agricultural task more diligently. This too was no answer to Tamanna. Tamanna's reputation started spreading all around. His songs started making a mention of Basavaya's cruelty and his meanness. Scholars of folklore were after him. Critics started analyzing and translating his songs and thus earned their share of fame. So this is the way Tamanna started giving a stiff competition to Basavaya here. As soon as he takes up a new thing, a new challenge to destroy Basavaya here, so Basavaya too started trying it, but it is not possible for him. Meanwhile, he takes up agriculture seriously and with very diligently, and where Tamanna never focused on any of Basavaya's developments there. So, but he keeps on singing, writing the songs, ballads, and singing them. As he started singing them, so and he started mentioning Basavaya's cruelty and his meanness in his songs, the scholars of folklore were after him. They started following Tamanna and Tamanna's songs here. And when they started, the folklore, scholars started Tamanna's literature or the songs here. Critics too started analyzing and translating his songs and thus earned their share of fame here. And critics, they never kept quiet. As he becomes famous and known to all here, surrounding people, they started singing the songs of Tamanna and started following here a completely different following for Tamanna has built here. So by seeing this, critics never kept quiet. They started analyzing, criticizing, translating his songs and getting themselves famous and also a share of the fame of Tamanna here. So this is how Tamanna started giving competition to Basavaya here. So meanwhile, Basavaya helplessly watched all this. Consumed by anger, he encroached more and more into Tamanna's land. Tamanna did not notice any of these activities. Heart had become the raison d'etre of his life. He was felicitated as the best poet of his time. So, as he was busy in composing and singing the songs, Basavaya started acquiring his land bit by bit. When he started encroaching more and more Tamanna's land, Tamanna never concentrated towards this encroachment of Basavaya here, because he was completely involved in composing the songs, in writing the ballads and singing them. And when it was this, and completely the art has take over all other habits of Tamanna here. So it has become is part and parcel of his life. Which one? The art. So hence he was felicitated as the best poet of his time. So when he got this award, so I don't think so Basavaya can go with or can compete anymore with Tamanna in this field of literature. So my dear students, so we have seen how the competition started between these two, how these two rivals began competing each other. So land, in land, acquiring friends, followers, encroachments, forcefully occupying the lands, Then after writing the ballads and singing them and gaining more and more name and fame in literature. And finally he was awarded with the best poet of his times as such. Though after getting this title, he became very famous in the locality as such. So Basavaya can't withstand all these things. Basavaya shrank in humiliation. He never can't bear all these things because he is going up and up. There is a name, there is Tamanna's name in everybody, in every way. So they used to speak of Tamanna and his songs. Seeing all these things, he was shrunk in humiliation. Nevertheless, he started filling his life with all kinds of material wealth. So Basavaya looking at these changes in Tamana's life. And when he became famous in the area or locality, so he started acquiring, filling his life with all kinds of materialistic wealth. So there, see how he got a palatial mansion built for himself. He appointed a number of persons just to praise him. He bedecked himself with gold, diamonds, and other precious stones. But his house looked dull and empty because Tamana's books were not there. That is what the visitors told him. Therefore, he started inviting scholars, poets, and magicians to his palace, his place. This was his way of investing his home with meaning. Yes. Now, the routes or the paths of competition are different here. Tamana's area of giving competition, the fight to Basavaya is different. And now, after knowing Basavaya, thought that he can't compete with him in writing and singing the ballads, so he started in giving interest towards agriculture and encroached Tamana's land more and more there. And then he thought himself that he should be, filling his life with all kinds of material health here. And that's how he built a big palatial mansion for himself, and he bedecked himself with all kinds of gold, diamond, and other precious stones as such. And not only that, he appointed the people just to praise him. So they have to praise Basavaya. So for that purpose, he started appointing the people here. And this is how he competed with here. And even though it was filled with valuable stones, gold, diamonds as such, but the building looks dull and empty. Why? Because there were no books of Tamana. Because of there were no books of Tamana, the Basavaya's palace mansion looks dull and empty. That is what the visitors told him. Therefore, he started inviting scholars, poets, and magicians to his place. So when people started visiting the palatial mansion of Basavaya here, so after seeing everything, so they finally used to say that, so the mansion looks dull and empty without the books of Tamana here. So it is the reason, and he started inviting the scholars, poets, and magicians to his place. So when he started visiting, inviting these people, this was his way of investing his home with meaning, and this was his own way to find or fill or a meaning to his life here. So these were the changes, these were the competitions, where these both people have started. And here it is the end. We are coming to the plot where it takes up the final plot here in order to close this kind of unhealthy competition between these two people here. Then one day he came to know that Tamana was ill. So one day what happens? He came to know that Tamana was ill. See here, even this also, health and life, they were in competition with each other. They compete with each other even at the time of death or their health. See, when Tamana was ill, Basavaya felt very happy here. And he started giving different notions, talks to the public here. How? See, he felt very happy when he was ill, when Tamanna was ill. At that point, Basavaya found the means of surpassing Tamanna. And he thought that that is the situation. Time to surpass Tamanna here. To creating or in creating some of the other misunderstandings between these. As he was ill, he started taking advantage of that situation here. Like he says, health is wealth. You may sing, you may write ballads, but if Tamanna started suffering from disease, surely his own spirits would be revived. Tamanna's disease was Basavaya's health. This. Okay, what is the use of singing the ballads, writing the ballads? If health is not good, where we say that, believe that health is wealth, so what is the reason? What is the reason of gaining name, becoming rich as such? There is no value for wealth at all. Now he says, why? Because Tamanna was not feeling well. He was just ill. Then Tamanna's disease was Basavaya's health. See how far this human instinct goes. Beyond the limits of life. Beyond the limits they go. Until they reach this situation, Basavaya, he never thought of life that it is too short, that we have to understand ourselves, that we should inculcate a kind of a spirituality within us, not to harm anybody, anything as such. But here, he has no such thoughts at all. He feels that his disease was his health. So this is what the stage where they came to, Basavana, came to here, Basavaya. Then, next paragraph, look at here. So when this is the situation, I think it is too much. The development of practices of these two people, and especially Basavaya's attitude towards Tamanna, and his challenges and his way of addressing the people, misguiding the people about Tamanna in order to create a bad name in the society. So he tried a lot. But dear students, however, by this time, Tamanna had thought of yet another method of punishing Basavaya. Yes. And all these things were observed, known to Tamanna here. His plans. So this is the situation where they reached. Tamanna thought, he knew all those things. The plans of Basavaya were known to him. But even then, he was not defeated in understanding the value of humanity here. And Tamanna also thought of different ideas. And at this stage, see, he started thinking of another idea here. The method of punishing Basavaya. Tamanna had thought of yet another method of punishing Basavaya. That was death. So, at last, Tamanna chooses death to compete with Basavaya here. So, he wanted to see whether Basavaya is going to compete with him even in death. Means, Tamanna very cleverly creates his own death here, trying to create his own death here. How? see further. If he continued at the level of the body, Basavaya would go on offering a stiff competition. But if his song was separated from his body, if there was no relation between the songs and his own flesh and blood, this is how his thoughts went. Yes. See to what extent it has gone. So he leaves everything, writing ballads, singing, and awards, titles, everything. He forgets everything. And he started, thinking differently and chose to die and expect Basavaya to give competition in this. And he started thinking that if his songs were separated from his body, if there was no relation between the songs and his own flesh and blood, what happens then? How will Basavaya will compete with me in this matter? So this is the idea, thought of tamanna here. Then look at students, look at it. I think hereafter we feel a little bit, a little confusions where we find that the discontinuity in the theme or continuation of the theme of the story is concerned here. So we feel like there is something missing. We feel like it is not continued properly. So that is the thing. So that's when I realized how strange human nature can be. So these words are again spoken by old man here while delivering it to the wife of the owner of plantation here. And now he comes out of that story, stops it till here and says, that's when I realized how strange human nature can be. The old man began his explanation to the owner's wife. Yes. Now, the old man began his explanation to the owner's wife. Man needs wealth. Finally, so he wanted to explain what is humanity, what is life, and how far he is going to be happy with the essentials of life as such. And what are the essentials of life? What do you require to lead a happy and a self-contented life as such? Without worries, without such rivalry, enmity, without unhealthy competitions like this, without selfish acts of life as such. Old man started explaining these things. Now what I am going to read here within double inverted commas. Man needs wealth. Man needs wealth, education, art, and many more things. And yet he lives for some kind of unbearable vengefulness. Without it, there would be no reason for his existence. Yes. We too believe that man's life, he needs wealth. Most important is health. And he needs money. And he needs art. Everything. But even then, along with the same things, these things, he also lives for some or the other kind of unbearable vengefulness in his life. And without this vengefulness, means a bad, illegal, illegitimacy, unfaithful life, that is what he prefers here. One or the other bad, thoughts will be there in him, or practices will be there with him. though he has everything in life. So that is the man's nature according to the old man here. So without these vengefulness or bad things, or rivalry or enmity or selfish things in life, man cannot live. He doesn't have any existence without these things. Without money he can live, without education he can live, without art he can live, but without these vengefulness he never live. You may know that this is not a real story, only what I have heard somewhere. You may know that why I subscribe to a daily. To you, I'm just an old man. After a particular age, man loses his name. His age becomes important and this name vanishes into thin air. Now, I'm an old man in this garden, your servant. I'm also the person who reads the newspaper and looks after the garden properly. So I conceived this story of Tamanna and Basavaya when all of a sudden Russia told America, I'm not your enemy. I shall not wage a war against you. See, this is how he changes his track. He wants the wife to not to understand that this story is of his own or of her husband here. And he says that these are all not real ones. As you know that I subscribe to a daily, a newspaper. I have read somewhere in some article in the newspaper, he says. And he says that he is old. And after certain age, man loses everything, every name, fame, property, whatever, money, everything vanishes into a thin air. Now he is telling, I am an old man in this garden, your servant. I can also read the newspaper and I am looking after your garden properly. That's all. I have nothing beyond these things. So don't believe that whatever I told you, it is just an imagination. It is just a thing where I come across in the newspapers. So he wanted to escape from that situation here. Because he is a worker in the owner's plantation. He can't directly give directions to the owner here. This is how he finds the means to correct his master in order to stop him going in a wrong path of life. He never wants his master to suffer in his future because he is his master. So he is loyal to his master here. So now he takes up another idea here. I conceived the story of Tamanna and Basavaya. See, when did I had it? The idea of Tamanna and Basavaya story. When all of a sudden Russia told America, these are the born rivals, enemies in world wars, Russia and America. Can there be a chance that Russia telling America that I won't be your enemy, I won't be staging any wars hereafter? No. I'm not your enemy. Russia told America, I'm not your enemy. I shall not wage a war against you. What must have been the reaction of America, the sworn enemy of Russia, to this declaration? Probably you will not understand the agony and boredom of America. Once it knew Russia was no more an enemy, a nation is capable of withstanding strains like this, but a human being cannot. I suffered a similar fate. Yes. So why did he mention Russia and America here? It is a thing that if it is a war between country and country, they can withstand any strains, any difficulties. But if it is a man and man, how can he withstand with the pain or blow when it was blown or given pain by other man here? He can't withstand. Once if he falls in his life, it takes a lot of time, or he can't get up, stand on his own legs and withstand or recover himself. Yes, it is not possible to recover. If he once became a victim of war or lost his health, he can't withstand or he can't be recovered from that. But whereas a nation, yes, it can withstand any pain. Maybe it may take a longer time to withstand or to come out or to be recovered, but it is possible in these cases. But man, never. So that is what he says. And even if now Baswaya or Tamanna say, see, I am not your enemy competitor, so let us not compete hereafter, we will stop it. No, never, it will never happen, because they were not in a mood. Even Russia tells America that it won't stage any wars against America. America will never believe, and they never stop fighting at all. Yes, they never stop fighting at all, or war, or battles. No, they never start all these things. They never, because they are sworn enemies. In the same case, here man also, he never ever leaves the vengeance of life. He has one or the other vengeance in his life, and without competition, unhealthy competition, he never lives at all. So till the death, it continues the same. And in the same thing, waging war, fighting each other will never stop between Russia and America. Even today they are enemies and they never cooperate each other in so many fields of life. So this is the thing where Lankesh wants us to think deeper about the life, about the selfish nature, about the enmity, about the rivalry in life. Do you live, can't you live without the rivalry, the enmity, the unhealthy competition like this, there is an answer, positive answer, yes. But whereas, if we are engaged in such a stiff, bad, unhealthy competition, I don't think the situation or the topic never leaves us to think about all those things. Means to come out of that rivalry or enmity. It is not possible for us here. So that is what Lankesh wants to say at this stage here. It is not the exact war he is talking about, the First War or Second World War as such. It is the relationship between Russia and he is talking about. The relationship is the permanent rivalry, enmity between these countries. They never ever unite each other and go in one boat as such. It's not possible. In the same way, man, he never wants to come out of his rival life here. So he wants competition. So not healthy competition, unhealthy competition. That is what? It is also unhealthy competition. If they become rivalries and started to fight each other, so many countries will support these two countries. Then see, whole world has to participate in the war started by these two countries, isn't it? So that is the thing we have to think about here. So that is why, my dear students, see, he once again says here, just listen carefully, I will just read it once again because this is the area where students feel a bit confusion here. But if you read slowly, second time, twice, so I think you can understand here. I conceived the story of Tamanna and Basavaya when all of a sudden Russia told America, within quotes, I am not your enemy, I shall not wage a war against you. What must have been the reaction of America, the sworn enemy of Russia, to this declaration? Probably you will not understand the agony and boredom of America once it knew Russia was no more an enemy. A nation is capable of withstanding strains like this, but a human being cannot. I suffered a similar fate. I thought my death alone could destroy Basavaya. I gave up everything and started off. And few days after I left, Basavaya passed away. He had no more reason to live. So the old man says here. So this is how the Lankesh wants to move towards the end of the story. He wanted to find a particular climax for this story here. Now he stopped. Where he is and what is the condition? No, nothing. When he comes out with the idea of death, competing in death, Tamanna leaves his native without informing anybody in the village, not even to his wife. He left. And he left and he walked miles together. So after few months or few days, he left from his village. He heard the news of Basavaya's death, that he has passed away. And Finally, he says that he had no more reason to live. Yes. Without competition, Baswaya cannot live. So he wants competition here. He wanted the competition or somebody who can compete with Baswaya here. So he was addicted too much for this competition. The only reason for his life is competition. If competition is there, so Baswaya is going to alive. If competition is not there, so he can't live. So that is his life. That is his addiction to life. So that is why when he hears, when he see no more opponents or person to compete with him, and when he come to know that there is no tamanna to compete to him, so having no competitor to pose him a challenge here, an unhealthy challenge continuously, so he feels ill and he dies. So this is how the story begins and ends here. And this is how you have two stories here. The lifestyle of the owner that gets changed, transformed to, isn't it? And the story where about the rivalry and enmity between Tammana and Baswaya here. Then the old man says here, my name is Tammana. After his death, I forgot all my songs and ballads. Who is the old man? Tammana. Now he is clearing the doubts, you see. The narration of the story was done by Tammana himself. He says, my name is Tammana. After his death, I forgot all my songs and ballads. I, who was once famous, became a non-entity. Thus I avenged myself. Yes. See, when you are young, you start gaining the things. When you are a small kid, you start gaining or getting the love from all the directions. Love and care from all the directions. When you start growing up and up, young and young, so when you come to an age of, you can withstand or take responsibilities of life. When your parents grow older and older, so then when all the responsibilities comes on to you, so that is different here. But when age one can get older and older, the name and fame, the property, money, whatever you have earned in your life, during your life, everything vanishes from you. Everything becomes far from you. You will never have a chance of enjoying them again. Why? Because it is time. So that is why whatever titles, awards, names that you have, they are all going to diminish, decrease, vanish from your life. So this is what the truth of life here is. So you have to understand the meaning of life in this manner now. So you won't carry or take anything with you when you are going to die. So you have come alone, it naked, and you are going alone with the same nakedness, emptiness. The birth is empty for a man. Yes, it is an empty shell. There is nothing in it. So he came to this world having nothing. And do you think it is possible after your birth, so enjoying, living, after this you carry all those things with you when you are going to die? No. Again, you have to go to your graveyard with nothing. So that is what shunya, that is what zero. We say, one of our critic or writer in Gangotri, Manasa Gangotri used to say that shunya sampadane. It is a big zero, he said. What is life's earning or name earning in life? That is zero. He says it is Sunya Sampadana. Means, but again, see life and again death. Here you have nothing, zero, and you have so many things here. It is full of merry, happiness, comforts, facilities, everything you have here. You are strong, strengthy, okay, and enjoy your life here. So what kind of life you have to lead here in between birth and death? That is what more important here. This is what Lankesh wants us to think about here. When you have born on this earth having nothing here, and do you think you have any right or a chance of taking all those things which life gives to you when you die into your graveyard? No, it is not possible. Okay. It's time here. We will wind up the class. Thank you. Have a nice day.